Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. What are your sweet dreams made of? I'm going to relate some of mine while we're doing a deep dive analysis of this song. Hopefully you'll be there with me in live chat so you can talk about yours too, or let me know in the comments below. Let's get to it. Whoa.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
This is fascinating. So I've heard this song on the radio before. I've never done a deep dive. I actually didn't know that it was Annie Lennox that's singing in this. I'd seen her name recommended a bunch, and I didn't put Eurythmics and Annie Lennox together. For some reason, I thought Eurythmics would be a big group of people as well, and it's just her and Dave Stewart. I was totally shocked by this. I'm sure many of you think, oh yeah, of course it's that way. But I was thinking it had to be like 5 or 6 people. It's really impressive. They have so many great sounds going on, and I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I want to go back to the beginning, and this is partly because this is the first time I've experienced this in amazing headphones. I mean, it's so different in these cans because I'm getting all of these. The music is going ding 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 around my head in a totally different way. The sounds have been placed so it feels like I'm in some sort of like weird futuristic soundscape. It's amazing. Yeah, the placement is so
Sweet
to the side.
made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something.
I really, really like her voice. There's this like gulpy, like chesty, jaw-dropping, just it's a combination of a physical reaction that I have to her voice and this just sort of intellectual overwhelm of her tone is incredible. Wow, 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 over and over. It's oh, I'm gonna go back and see if I can put some terms to it, but the first experience I'm getting from finally listening in incredible headphones is just it's a physical experience that wow. At a loss for words here, y'all.
Disagree.
Let's go back a little bit.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
You can learn how to sing all kinds of vocal acrobatics. You can learn to sing high, low, sustain really long notes, be perfectly on pitch. There's so many different things you can really do to improve your voice. But in my opinion, one of the most important things to work on is authenticity in your sound. She's just completely authentic. It is her sound. Feels like her voice is an embodiment of power, of there's a certain daring nature. There's fierceness. It is full-throated. It is grounded. And that is something that I think is achieved through a lot of self-realization and often just removing tension or sort of like all of this crap that we can get just living life, learning how to remove that and letting your natural instrument be unleashed. it's I believe it's incredibly, incredibly important to just focus on your unique sound and how to bring that out as much as possible, and then how to give you more message so you can communicate even more important things. I, I love her unique sound. It's awesome. Jeez, I'll talk some about the physicality that could be used to get to a sound like hers, but nobody is going to have her sound because nobody's going to be exactly like her. Wow.
Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you.
So it's really important here when she starts into the harmony to pay attention to the different timbres between the higher and the lower. Um, she's definitely shifting into a more CT, meaning cricothyroid dominant sound on the top. It's going to be a little easier to have that thinner sound for navigating some of those highs. And there isn't as much of this sort of husky quality in that top harmony. I think that's wonderful. We get essentially two dimensions of the same voice there that aren't trying to blend perfectly together. Again, it's embracing authenticity, even when singing with yourself, because this part of yourself and this part of yourself aren't going to sound exactly the same.
Looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you.
It's very sultry in especially the lower part.
Some of them want to be abused.
Huh. Gosh, I feel like she's embracing this sultry, powerful female sound so strongly. It feels almost like, even though this is very low, it feels like a, a sort of scream or shout. It's like screaming, I am a woman and I am awesome. Really, I love all of the extra messaging underneath just her tone.
Them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
Huh. I should mention here too. Obviously, she's got a rather androgynous look going on that could mean other things, different sexuality or gender as well being presented here. And I shouldn't just say I am a woman and I am awesome. That might be my interpretation of it, but I think that what could be interpreted here is I am me. I am exactly what my voice is, and I am awesome. So lots of ways we could go with that. Ooh, is this both of? So I also have never seen pictures of either Annie Lennox or Dave Stewart. And I think that this is Dave Stewart who just joined on the right, I think. Pretty sure. Uh, can you confirm that in live chat if you're there with me?
Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something.
Oh, that's interesting. She's got like a little mark here now. Maybe that's partly because we have a lot of travel and ideals from that are being brought in here. Which brings me to sweet dreams and what they're made of. I let's keep it clean, y'all. Okay, because I'm sure there are other dreams we could talk about, which we're just not going to talk about that because it breaks community guidelines here. Okay, so keep it clean, but tell me about a sweet dream of yours. I have this sweet dream. I really hope I get to do it someday. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but I have a sweet dream of traveling with my kiddo and hubby. I really want to do something called world schooling at some point where we go to another country and spend a good chunk of time there and use that travel to teach about the culture that's there, hopefully investigate the different music that's there in that environment. It might just be looking at how loudness is different in music halls in Northern Europe versus America versus Australia, right? There's a lot of different ways we can experience a culture. And I would especially love to experience, well, both the history and culture, but the music and how that is appreciated in different cultures, and bring my family with me. Let's all learn together on this. So that's a sweet dream of mine. I really hope that that happens someday. And if we do that, I will make sure that we include that in some YouTube journeys that we'll take you all with us. Tell me about one of your sweet dreams. I have some more.
Something. Hold your head up, keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up.
Ooh, I love how that last section of music has so much vocal exploration. I, I like she's really good at adding different amounts of airy quality into her sound and throughout her range. It almost had this jazzy feeling, bluesy, jazzy, scatting kind of feeling. And then we've got the amazing placement of the sounds again with some of these harmonies in here. Just super, super brilliant. I loved that vocal exploration here. I'm gonna go back one more time. That's that like chat. There's a certain cry in it. It reminds me, shoot, of a Pink Floyd. I want to say "Great Gig in the Sky." It reminded me a little bit of that vocal solo,
Is looking for something.
and I love the ooze. They bring so much. Well, I know that AI can get close to making like choral ooze sound totally real. There's just something so different when I hear her voice here. It doesn't. I've been really on top of listening to the different advances in AI and music, especially with regards to human voice. And I've heard some things that are pretty convincing, but nothing has totally been able to fool me yet. In case you guys are out there doomsdaying, nothing with human voice that isn't something that already naturally in that genre has a lot of electronic influence on it. Nothing that is just a raw human voice generated by AI. I've not been fooled, not once. And right here, I think about those oohs and how much feeling they have. And then that's the kind of thing that a lot of people would replace with AI or some sort of virtual instrument today. And I just think I would be able to tell. I also know because I am a virtual instrument, by the way, with Impact Soundworks. You can find a library of my voice. If you wanted to have my oohs and ahs in your song, you could get them in your song. I'm not an AI. That's different. Although I did make an AI speaking voice for a car once, which is kind of fun and much more involved than it takes today. But this kind of ooh that's from her, it's not generated. It has so much, again, that authenticity in it. It just has so much presence and humanness in the sound. Back a little bit. One more time. Here we go. Listen to the entrance of the ooze. It really happens in the movement there. There's such a swell in the legato.
Hold your head up, keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up.
Okay, before we get to this next section, I want to point out some different registrations that Annie Lennox is using. This is, I think, very useful for aspiring singers and also really useful for people who are just listening to voice to maybe understand the voice a little bit more and appreciate it more and maybe even hear some more details in it that are super awesome that you may have never heard before. So in that lowest area of her voice that I've described so far, it had a husky quality to it. It had a lot of breadth. She has a really wide mouth too, and I would imagine that has a pretty big impact on that natural tone quality from her. That lowest area of her sound, that would be her chest voice. Okay, it's almost like you can feel a certain resonance here with it. And a lot of singers do report feeling like a vibration in their chest when they're singing in chest voice register, although males are more likely to report that than females, which is I think pretty fascinating. After that, there was that first harmony that was up there that had a little more denseness to it. It was like it was more, gosh, more gathered is the way I would describe it. But it didn't feel floaty, right? It didn't feel like it was just going off somewhere. That is what a lot of people would describe as a mixed register. It's bringing in these elements from the bottom and from the top. It's sort of honing them together. Sometimes people will think about this as just being head voice or chest voice, and that they're mixing in some chest into head or some head into chest. And uh, they don't call it a third, like a middle register. But I think we can, when listening to her voice, we could say, oh, that sounds like a mixed register because it has qualities of both. By the way, I would never use the term mixed register with a classical singer. I would only use it with a contemporary singer. There are different ways to describe registers. And then in this top part that we're just hearing, that I just stopped at, I think it's such a great example, actually, of a head voice register. It has so much lightness to it. It definitely has a certain hootiness, like a quality, like coming from the top down, huh, that kind of sound. And it has certain elements of the ethereal in there as well. And some people might even argue that there's a little bit of falsetto quality in it. Uh, I wanted to point this out because I think it can be fascinating if we think about registers not just as something that is low, middle, or high, but rather as something that has a significant shift in the color. I don't hear that like super sexy, sultry, powerful, husky, low female color. That I don't, that deeper timbre. I don't get that in other parts of her voice. And that's part of what makes that chest voice so extraordinary. Now, if she were to like move her voice up and belt like crazy, so take that chest voice and go really high in pitch with it, we might still have elements of that. And that would be cool. Right? Or you could take that head voice down and say, oh, I'm going to have that ethereal, floaty, just super light feeling in the lowers. And this is important because registers can cross like that. And that's one of the ways that singers bring different colors into songs as well. And by the way, I teach voice stuff. I don't talk about that very often on YouTube, but I do have a course called Demystifying Singing. I'll link to it, where I teach about these elements. I think that aspiring singers, it's really useful to define those registers so that you can learn how to use your different natural vocal colorings in ways that can be really effective for communicating to your audience or communicating your message, and just learning how to find more freedom in your voice. I'm going to go back just a little bit. Listen for that head voice that entered here just after I paused that, or just before I paused. That part. Keep. Oh my gosh, his eyeballs are amazing.
Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
Oh my word. I just realized she reminds me of this incredible actress. Oh gosh, where have her name? She plays a character named Sophie that's a comedian in Mrs. Maisel, I think. The Marvelous Ones, that's such a good show. I can't remember this actress's name. She's amazing. Has similar cheekbones and just the facial structure. And I think she's also in Glee. Is she the principal in Glee? Okay, help me out, y'all. I don't remember who that person is. I had a really, I hope, somewhat insightful musical comment to make, and then it was totally blown away by feeling like she looks so much like this person.
Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused.
I know what the comment is. I remembered it. This pattern that's been repeating the it's like it's the synth pattern that's repeating in the background over and over. It's a ostinato, meaning it's a repetitive pattern. It goes over and over, it loops like this. And it is related to minimalistic music. There's this movement called minimalism, which I've talked about a few times on the channel, but I realized after seeing people's comments and questions about it, I haven't talked about it nearly enough. It's, it was made in contemporary classical music, and composers like Philip Glass are very highly associated with it. He wrote an opera called Akhenaten that I love, and he's also written film scores. And essentially, it's this like it's a counter movement to how complicated and really sort of overdone a lot of other things in music at the time were becoming. It wanted to go back to something much more simple. And it's been one of the most, I think, impactful movements of composition in the 20th century. We see it all the time now, just bleeding into film music like crazy, into pop music like this. It's so cool to see these elements of it where you hear something that's repeating over and over and over, and often there'll be one other thing in that musical mix which will slightly shift. And it draws attention to how repetition with just one tiny shift can feel so major, and it can often distort our sense of time, even almost make us get used to a certain flow and then rock our entire world by moving a single pitch. Minimalism, y'all, look into it and then start identifying it in all kinds of everyday music, especially film composition. It's everywhere in film. So there it is in the bottom. We've heard it so much, this repetitive pattern. What's with the cow? Okay, I'm just gonna ask this cow drink. Is this something about the power? Is this talking about like the cattle industry or something? I'm not sure. There's so many interesting symbols in this music video. We'll get into some more thoughts on this when we talk about some more sweet dreams in a bit, but just let me know in comments what's with the cow.
Some of them want to be abused.
Wow.
Sweet dreams are
Shivers. I'm gonna go back and play that again because it gives me shivers, and I want those shivers one more time. Oh my gosh.
sweet dreams are made of.
Ugh. Ugh. That is delicious. That line, it just makes me shiver and love voice even more. It's kind of like one of my other sweet dreams, which is chocolate. I'm sorry, I dream about chocolate sometimes. In fact, I actually have some incredible hot chocolate here that has notes of orange and cardamom in it. In fact, that line did have it had that sort of orange cardamom effervescence that I'm getting in this hot chocolate right now. It's just like, whoosh. And then there's a certain creaminess to it. So I think maybe orange cardamom hot chocolate is a great way to explain Annie Lennox's voice right here. Yeah, it works. It works. Oh man. Yeah, that was definitely the cardamom at the end. Ugh. I love the extra high harmony that I hear on the left side right now. Again, the spatialization of these are just super awesome. And I love the like super low bluesy riffing side over here. This is just delightful.
Who am I to disagree?
It's so fascinating to hear all of those vocal layers, especially as a person who has done lots of a cappella and layering of myself in lots of tracks, and just hear how she was able to define each of those layers so well. One of the things that's hardest about layering your own voice is that there is a lot of similarity, and sometimes the resonances get these like sort of weird uh, combinations with the overtones, and how it can get a bit difficult on the production side. I think she's kept it sparse enough and differentiated each voice enough that it almost just it's a swirl of delight that feels like so many individual personalities coming together. Delightful. Back one more time to that section.
Who am I? Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something sweet.
I'm literally hugging myself because it's so good. It's delicious. One more time.
Dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to
All right. Before I feel like this is starting to wrap up some. Before we get to our wrap up point, I want to like give it a little more thought about what she's suggesting with these lyrics. The sweet dreams are made of. It actually feels a bit to me like it's got some political commentary going on. Like it's saying that people are. This might be partly from what I'm seeing in the music video too, but it feels like there's a comment about a power struggle, people essentially taking advantage of other people that maybe throughout the world, that some people want to abuse you, some of them want to be used by you. This comment of, I mean, certainly there's a sexual struggle there as well. But there are just overtones essentially of a certain disillusionment with society that are all in here. But that being said, I will eventually get to my last sweet dream, probably in the outro here. Before we get there, I'm really curious. I'm curious what your interpretation of this is, where those thoughts go for you. Again, keep it clean, because I know that it could go a totally different way here. Keep it clean, but tell me what you think they're really saying sweet dreams are made of.
disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's
Gotta love the cello, man.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven
I love the layers.
Everybody's looking for something.
Ooh.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for something.
Fade out. I like the fade out for this. While I think there are some undertones of sweet dreams that may take advantage of other people, I have to say that one of my sweetest dreams is one where I just give up my time in support of a good cause, which is vocal research. I have a dream to help make more vocal research possible. And I'm sure you can find out about that and comment some more. For now, let's just head over here to songs that I think have really fascinating messages. Okay. So there's a playlist over here. Dig into it if you'd like some more analysis, and may you fall more in love with music every day. Mwah! Oh, cheers to delicious chocolate with orange and cardamom.